Well, what else you got for us, man, on this multimeter front? We're running 45 minutes here, and I know we're educating the folks, but what else is super salient in the world of ammeters, voltmeters, multimeters, and kind of what we need to consider?
I got one last controversial statement for you.
I love controversy.
Yeah, so it's not controversial to everyone who knows what they're doing, right? But for engineers, right? But we don't measure resistance. How about that, right? There's no one out there that measures resistance. You don't measure resistance. You apply a voltage and you measure the current, and your meter internally does the math, right, and it spits out a number and tells you that's what the resistance is.
Gotcha.
Okay?
Gotcha.
Because you can't measure resistance. You only apply a voltage and measure a current, right? You apply a voltage, you measure the voltage, you measure the current coming through the circuit, you do the math on that. And I'm going to prove it to you.
I'm interested. I'm trying to see where Mr. Ohm would fall on this whole thing with this laws here. So
this meter, and I got it plugged in right now, right?
Yeah.
I got this meter, and I set it the resistance. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So just to prove I'm not doing any shenanigans here, this meter, and I'm just gonna pass it over the back of my head so you know it's not wrong. You know, I'm gonna put it on voltage again. Is literally input into the other meter.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So this other meter says nothing, DC. Okay. So I want to measure a resistance. I'm just going to set it down, nothing crazy. I want to measure resistance. I'm going to switch that to resistance, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. This meter is going to put out a voltage, and it's going to measure its current coming back through these leads. How do I know that? Because if you go back to this other meter now, it's putting out 2.7 volts.
Gotcha. I see what you're saying.
There's proof in the pudding, right?
Yeah, yeah, it is. So it's actually literally putting out the voltage.
Do this. There we go. Switch it off. Boom! It goes away. Right. This meter is literally putting out voltage, and
that's how the meters function, correct? I mean, they have to have the baseline voltages and currents in order to formulate the resistance. And if you don't have an injection going on of some sort, you're never going to get anything. And that's kind of how the microprocessors work and with the theory and writ large.
If I go to what is beep mode, that's continuity.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same thing.
Yep.
So, it's crazy because a lot of people were like, well, I'm not measuring any resistance. What about the battery in your meter?
Right.
Right. You can't put out voltage if you don't have a battery.
Right.
So
I was going to say, if you don't have a battery in it, you're not going to get those readings for dang sure.
So that's why these old analogs, that's the only reason these things had a battery, right?
Yep.
It's the only reason they had a battery.
So they could generate the voltage required.
Apply voltage to measure a current.
Makes sense.
And then it would just use the exact same scales. You just drop down to the other one, and that's what you would see.